Layman's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the off-Broadway musical Bear Grease, written and directed by LIGHTNINGCLOUD, which is Crystle Lightning and Henry Cloud Andrade, directed by Crystle Lightning and running through September 7th at St. Luke's Theater at 308 West 46th Street in New York City. You're the one that I want over at my Patreon page, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, where patrons get early access to the latest episode. You also get quick reviews of the shows I've reviewed for the week, as well as the occasional extra goodie. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. Links to my Patreon and podcast pages will be in the description. I occasionally visit Restaurant Row to have dinner before a show when I'm in New York City. One day, I walked down West 46th Street between 8th and 9th, and I saw this ad for a new musical called Bear Grease. Now, not seeing much aside from the title at the time, I was very curious about what it was. The fonts indicated something themed to the musical Grease, but beyond that, I didn't know what it was going to be about. Was there literally bears in this show? Was it about hairy homosexual men? I don't know. But it caught my attention. And when the advertising started to develop, word started to spread. People were genuinely curious about what this show could possibly be. Critics and general theatergoers alike were piqued with curiosity. Well, when the invite came to review it, I jumped at the opportunity to see what this was all about. Was it going to be a total train wreck, or was it going to be a secret piece of underground brilliance like Con the Musical, which ran a couple years ago? Bear Grease started as a 30-minute play premiering at the Edmonton Fringe Festival a few years ago. It is an alternate history musical that proposes what if the Taino tribe defeated Christopher Columbus and Western Europe but never colonized the Americas. In its multiversal concept, the Indigenous peoples eventually develop not all that different from where we are now, and they end up creating their own musical of Grease. The musical is all tongue-in-cheek and shouldn't be thought on too hard. Like, for example, instead of Rizzo, there's Rezo, played by Tammy Ray LaMouche. If what we know now as the Americas were never colonized to the point of annihilating indigenous tribes, in which reservations were never formed, the name Rezo would be anachronistic in that timeline. Regardless, being serious about historical accuracy is irrelevant with the show. Bear Grease is about celebrating indigenous peoples through a satirical interpretation of a musical about a time when Native Americans were treated pretty poorly. I mean, they still are, but it was worse back in the 1950s. It's worth researching if you're curious. Look up forced assimilation to get started. Anyway, if you know the musical Grease, you know the plot to Bear Grease, more or less. Danny, played by Bryce Morin, met Sandy, played by Melody MacArthur, over the summer, and now they're back in school and Danny has to put on a front with his friends. Sandy is taken aback by Danny's uncouth behavior and gets help from the Pink Ladies, the Pink Aunties, as they're called here, to improve her cool factor while Danny attempts to win her back. Some of the songs are reworked to fit the Indigenous theme of the show, adding little references about Indigenous culture that, if you're familiar with the references, you'll probably get a bit more of the humor in the show. There are some seriously impressive standout moments, most of which happen in the second act. For example, Danny and Sandy both sing different versions of Hopelessly Devoted in this version. Sandy singing the traditional version, while Bryce Morin sings the song as a native-style song, accompanying himself on a drum, renaming the song Hopeless Roundy. Being that round dances are traditionally done with a group, having one person perform gives the song a bit of a pun. Not all songs are from the musical Grease. Tammy Ray LaMouche sings a gorgeous rendition of Ben E. King's Stand By Me in the Cree language, and it's a standout moment in the show. Bear Grease is overlong with what they are going for here. The Kaniki Rizzo, or in this case Kanucky Rezo, relationship has been essentially omitted as a subplot. Instead, we have a behind-the-scenes pseudo-documentary feature that is presented via video. I found the backstage drama unnecessary and would have liked more development of the actual Grease story being reimagined. Also, we don't get into the actual Grease story until about 30 minutes into the show. as we get performances of classic hits like Be My Baby and Only You, as well as an introduction by the show's writer and producer, Henry Cloud Andrade, who performs a freestyle rap to kick off the show, which is really good, but again, it kept the actual Bear Grease part of the show from starting. Though it was all nice to watch and listen to, it doesn't really add anything and pads the runtime. Bear Grease is only the second all-Indigenous people's off-Broadway show after Between Two Knees. I love that another people group is finally getting their voice on stage. I'm glad that Bear Grease is here and captures the minds of theatergoers, but it needed some serious editing and would have benefited from sticking to its Grease theme versus having a backstage side story and an overlong introduction. But I'm only one man's opinion, so leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Bear Grease, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and podcast pages, as well as my social media handles where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Sharon Playhouse's production of $1 Million Quartet. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.